Okay. Not quite here. Not right here. Quite here. Lift it up a bit. Okay. Still. Lift it up a bit. There you go. Go ahead and I'll follow you. You guys can go with me. I'll walk with you. Shamayim varetz, Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim varetz, Al yitein lamod raglecha, Al yanum shomrecha, Hine lo yanum velo yishan, Shomer Yisrael, Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha, Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha. Yom HaShemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla, Adonai yishmorcha mikora, Yishmor et nafshecha, Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha, me'ata ve'ad olam, Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. Al mekomo yavo v'shalom.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I apologize that there are a number of people behind me for whom I have my back turned. If you want to take a moment and swing this way, I will wait. I don't want to be rude. But you can also stay where you are. I want to thank all of you who are able to be with us here today in person at the Shaarey Zedek Cemetery. I want to thank all of you who are joining us from all over the world, tuning into the live stream broadcast of this service. Thank you to all of you for joining your hearts together to give courage and strength to those who are now in mourning. We are here today to do something that is very difficult and very painful. We are here to say goodbye to Arch Honigman. Arch. Asher ben Shmuel ve'Itachaya, the son of Samuel and Edith Honigman, Zichronam Livracha, of blessed memory. We are here to honor him, to pay tribute to his life. We have come together, and naturally we will express our pain and our grief and our sadness. But also, we will try to celebrate someone who is truly a special person. Someone who is worthy of the highest form of respect we have in Jewish tradition, which is to accompany someone to his final resting place and lay him to rest as a community of friends and family. We began with a psalm, Psalm 121, which is in Hebrew called Shir LaMa'alot, a song for those who ascend. Esa einai el heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. I turn my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. You see, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. God will guard your going and your coming now and forever. Al mekomo yavo v'shalom. May Arch go unto God in peace. Hatzur tamim paulo ki chol rachav mishpat el emuna ve'inav el tzadik v'yashar hu. Tzadik ata Adonai lamidu lachayot asher biyadcha pigadon kuruchot chalila lecha zichronenu limchot. V'yihiu na'einecha b'rachamim al nidfachot v'kuchot ki lecha Adon harachamim v'haslichot. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yehi shem Adonai mevorach. God you have given, God you have taken, blessed be the name of God. Vehu rachum yechaper avon velo yashchit, v'hirba lashiva po velo yirko chamato, ve'ashov he'afar al haaretz shehaya, ve'aruach tashuv ela Elohim asher netana. The dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May our beloved soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal, and may God send comfort to those who mourn and grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. Arch passed away Thursday evening, September 23rd, the 18th day in the Hebrew month of Tishrei. He was 61. He is survived by his family, his wife, Joanna, his sister, Brenda, and brother-in-law, Arnie, his nephews in Toronto, Brody and Schaefer, his nephew and niece in Winnipeg, Mateo and Kiara, and a great number of dear friends who were without question family to him. I'll make a special mention to Lenore Kagan, who was like a mother to Arch for most of his life, and to her entire family, who are certainly grieving his loss as well. Arch was predeceased by his parents, Sam and Edith, and by his brother Gary. Again, Zichronam Livracha, all of blessed memory. It is such a shame. Arch and Joanna took every precaution possible over the last 20 months. They sacrificed so much of their social life and things they loved the most. Seeing other people, going out for dinners, meeting with family and friends. They did this to try and weather the storm of COVID. Arch himself rushed to get double vaccinated as soon as he could for both of his shots. And yet, somehow, he got COVID and suffered from a breakthrough case that ultimately took his life. This is truly tragic. There's no other way around it. In the Bible, in the book of Kohelet, which is the Hebrew name for the book of Ecclesiastes, often invoked at Jewish funerals, there is a line we read, "The eye never has its fill of seeing, nor the ear of hearing." The lesson is that young or old, those who depart this life never see enough of the world. They never complete their task. They never cherish their loved ones enough. They're always gone too soon. How they wish they had more time, and how we yearn to have them close to us for just one more challenge in our lives, or one more joy in our lives, just one more precious moment together. All of this is even more true when someone like Arch Honigman is taken away far too young and far too soon, way before his time should have been up. It's impossible to make sense of this tragedy. I've learned, I'm sure we've all learned, that when death comes into our lives, no matter how much we wish, no matter how much we ask, our questions of why will always go unanswered. A little while back, I learned a story the rabbis tell of a debate that took place once in heaven. You see, a brand new, beautiful soul had recently been born. And there was one group of angels who refused to let this soul go down to earth. They argued, on earth this soul will just be corrupted. But another group of angels demanded the soul be sent to earth because of all the good it could do. And after all, they said, souls are created to bring good into this world. After a furious debate, the two sides still couldn't agree. So the debate came before God. And God decided on a compromise. The soul would indeed go to earth, but only for a short time. All the angels agreed, with the second group saying, even though his time is short, every day he is on earth is a blessing. Because some souls are so beautiful, so special, they only need a short time on earth to make a huge impact and to change the world. I didn't really know Arch Honigman. I think that puts me in a rare position amongst this crowd. But I have learned from speaking to those who loved him and knew him the best that that's exactly how it was for him. Kind, gentle, caring, and generous. Arch was a true people person who had an insatiable zest for life, for traveling and seeing the world, for living each day to its fullest, who truly loved people, talking to people, getting to know them, making them feel special, even strangers. He would approach them, and after a short conversation, they would be friends. Arch loved people, and in return, he was loved by the people who knew him. We have this phrase we often throw around, but Arch Honigman was really the living embodiment. He'd give you the shirt off his back. which I've learned really fits Arch perfectly because one of his greatest loves in life was biking around without his shirt on, especially at the beach. I've come to learn as well that everyone who knew Arch Honigman has at least one story of some unbelievable good deed he did for them out of the true goodness of his heart. There are the friends whose house wasn't ready on time like they were promised, who had nowhere to go, so Arch invited them into his basement for 6 weeks to live while they waited for the construction finally to be finished. Or the woman whose house burned down and whom Arch helped find an apartment to rent, refusing to take any money from her or her family until the house was rebuilt. This address book, this legendary address book he carried around all the time, was just more living proof of his nature. It was filled with names and phone numbers of all kinds of skilled workers, plumbers, carpenters, painters, as well as pretty much everyone he knew from both the Winnipeg Jewish community and the greater community. He loved thumbing through this book, connecting people who needed help with people who could provide a service. He was also famous for the gifts he would bring people who hosted him for dinners or parties at their homes, extravagant floral arrangements, massive boxes of chocolate. People like doctors and nurses who took care of him always looked forward to Christmas because their Jewish pal and patient Arch brought the best gifts of anyone they knew, by far. He credited his father, Sam, a Holocaust survivor, with these powerful lessons of generosity he lived by. Give as much as you can give. It's an honor to give. Sam Honigman was a tremendous influence in Arch's life, pretty much single-handedly raising Arch and his sister, Brenda. It was Arch's mission to keep the story of his father's Holocaust survival alive, to honor him in the way he lived. They shared a love of so many things, especially Winnipeg Beach, and even after Sam died there tragically, Arch never stopped visiting, riding his bike, bathing in the sun. I learned that the first time Arch spoke to Joanna, it was on the phone. They were set up, their first date was coming, and he told her, "I am not your typical Jewish man. I am 6 feet tall, I have blue eyes, and I have a full head of hair." 4 lines, and already she knew so much about him. His confidence and charm, his sense of humor and playful attitude, and that he was many things, but most of all, he was a character. Because if there's anyone who was a character, a creature of habit, someone who had such wonderful shtick, it was Arch. And for all of these qualities, which are just the introduction to today's service, and will feature a number of powerful and fitting eulogies, but for all of these qualities and more, Arch Honigman will be truly missed. As I mentioned, we have the privilege of hearing eulogies today from people who knew him intimately. Joy Kaufman, a lifelong friend, will be the first, followed by Linda Cates, who is reading words on behalf of Arch's wife, Joanna, that she has written. And then we have Arch's sister, Brenda, from Toronto, who cannot be here today, but who has written and recorded words of tribute we will play over the speaker system. But first, I'll call on Joy to begin the eulogies.
You know, as I got on the plane yesterday, and I sat on the plane, I thought, what am I coming to Winnipeg for? Like, is this really, really happening? It's so surreal. It's so surreal. Archibald Harold Honigman was his real name. And we are here to mourn the passing of a true mensch, my dear friend Arch, a friendship that spanned 45 years. Arch was a selfless individual, generous, kind, quiet, who would do almost anything for his family and friends. He loved the outdoors. If you couldn't find Arch, it was often because he was out somewhere riding his bicycle. He was a very kind and extremely generous brother to his sister Brenda and his nephews Schaefer and Brody. His wife Joanna Biondi, her family, parents Guido and Janice, sister and brother-in-law Lorena and Greg, sister-in-law and brother-in-law, nephew and niece Matteo and Chiara, made sure that Arch enjoyed a good quality of life. They were always, always there for him. They truly loved Arch. We will forever be grateful to the Biondi family for their love and devotion to him. Arch had some really good friends. Family and friends were very important to Arch. To know him was to love him, even if he had a little shtick. I don't think that any one of you standing here today, or anyone streaming this funeral, could say a bad thing about Arch. Rest in peace, my dear friend Arch. I will miss you so much. We will all miss you. I will miss wishing each other happy birthday, as our birthdays were only days apart. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before I begin reading Joanna's heartfelt words, I just wanted to add a few of my own. As I stand here right now, I can't help but think that this is a perfect Arch day. The sun on his face, a breeze in the air, surrounded by so many loving friends and family. You will be sorely missed by all. Rest in peace, dear friend. I'm going to read what the tribute Joanna has paid to Arch. During the time Arch was in the hospital, each day we talked about our years together and his life before we met. We went over countless memories, mostly the good ones, of course, as Arch always lived for happy times, never wanting stress, conflict, or sadness. It brings me much happiness knowing that although he encountered many tragedies, he had so many joyous times in his life. The day Arch left us, the first thing he told me was, "It's the 23rd today, so it's my birthday and the anniversary of our first date, also on the 23rd. Arch did this almost every 23rd of the month. He told me he was 61 and 8 months old, and our first date was 10 years and 11 months ago. He told me that he loved his massive 50th birthday bash and his 60th, and that when he turned 65 and COVID was over, he wanted the biggest birthday ever. He also told me that when he first met me 11 years ago, he thought I was the most beautiful girl in the world, but didn't understand how I was blonde being Italian. My family and I were blessed to share 11 beautiful years with Arch. Together we enjoyed many spectacular vacations, celebrations, and holidays, whether they were Jewish or Christian. He loved our Sunday family dinners, and if it had to be canceled, he wanted a makeup day. He loved parties, dancing, dinners with family and friends. Following our marriage, Arch and I were able to reciprocate and host many dinners and holidays with his family of friends. Arch, being a bachelor for many years, was happy to do this because of the many years his friends had made a seat for him at their family table. Arch loved going to Scottsdale to our family's condo, and somehow, some way, knew the city inside out without Google Maps or a GPS, not to mention many other large cities. I recall one time, Arch told me he couldn't come to Arizona, and 2 days later, he called me and asked how Scottsdale was, and where I was. He told me to look out the window of the balcony, and there he was at almost 1 in the morning. Arch was always coming. He just wanted to surprise me. Arch very much enjoyed traveling. He had seen so much of the world and wanted to retrace his favorite spots with me when the world returned to normal. Arch knew how to fly first class. It didn't take the purchase of an expensive first-class ticket. All it took was his massive smile, charm, and packages of licorice, candy, and chocolates at the airport check-in counter. He also had a ritual when we checked in at hotel lobbies. Bearing the same gifts, he would say, "My name is Arch Honigman. I'm a loyal Hilton customer, and I need a room far from the elevators and ice machine, and not on the east side, for when the sun rises, I like to sleep in." In the end, he would receive a luxury upgraded room for the same price, and they were more than happy to do it, and the staff, in the end, thought they had made a new friend. Arch also taught my sister Lorene that a restaurant, just because it isn't on the menu, doesn't mean they won't make it for you. He had the gift of convincing any waitress that the chef could make a new entree just how he wanted, and they did just that. Arch really enjoyed boat rides in my brother-in-law's Greg's boat, and it amazed me how brave he was, passing the waters each week where his father had tragically perished. He was so calm and relaxed with the warm wind blowing on his face, and couldn't wait for the next weekend boat ride. He was young at heart. He always told me he felt 25, not a day older. He loved Halloween, dressing up. He loved birthday parties, and never would want to miss our nephew Mateo or niece Kiara's birthday children parties. Sometimes I wondered if he enjoyed them even more than the children. He also never wanted to miss any of their hockey games, folklorama performances, or singing engagements. Arch was soft-spoken, a gentleman, and had such charm. It seemed so many people knew him, either from his school days, university, his company, or his community. He was adored by everybody. Absolutely nobody had anything but wonderful words to say about Arch. He was the kindest of souls, giving and trustworthy. He worked very hard to earn his master's degree in city planning in the Faculty of Architecture. He loved playing Monopoly as a child and ended up getting to play that game for a career. He loved what he did, and he enjoyed every day in his work. He treated all of his employees like gold and cared about them and their families. He was proud of his accomplishments and always wished his dad had been able to see just how much he had achieved. Arch had a close circle of friends. They were his family. I was blessed to have them brought into my life. They always stood by his side in good days and bad. He adored each and every one of them. Many of them were with him till his final moments, and I know he is beyond grateful to them as I. Arch didn't leave the world without love beside him. His friends are the true meaning of love and friendship. Arch adored my family and they him. He spent every day at my mother and father's home for countless hours and really enjoyed his time with them, never wanting to miss a day seeing them. Difficult to fathom, but in the last 4 years, my father made Arch a huge hockey fan, never missing a Jets game. And my sister Lorene and brother-in-law Greg did so much for Arch, and he always said he was blessed for that. It was incredible to have a husband that was so happy to spend time with family. Mateo and Kiara have been with Arch almost every day since they were 4 and 5 years old. They are going to miss Uncle Arch deeply. Arch was so thankful for family, and always with great sincerity told them that. Arch, we had 11 beautiful years together. We wanted many more. I am heartbroken. I am proud of how hard you fought and how determined you were to come home to us. We never saw this chapter coming. As I told you on your final day, I am so very happy I found you, and so happy I married you. I am beyond proud to be your wife and call you my husband. You will always be my husband. You always kiss me when you woke up and just before bed, followed by, I love you very much. I will miss your beautiful blue eyes, your smile, holding your hand, hearing your voice, and I will be missing you each and every second. You will be my first thought in the morning and my last at night, always. Arch, please wait for me. I will find you, and we will dance again. I love you very much.
Thank you to Joy. Thank you to Linda, Joanna, for those beautiful words of tribute. And this is the recording that Brenda made from Toronto of her words for her brother Arch.
Hi everyone. I'm unable to attend my brother's funeral in person because I'm immunocompromised and I've been advised not to travel. I have health problems and so does my son, and we can't risk traveling and possibly getting COVID. If it was not for COVID, I would have absolutely been here with my kids and husband. I feel really, really badly about it. I've prepared this eulogy for you all to listen to. I'm devastated. I'm heartbroken. I'm in shock. My wonderful...
Sorry, I can do it off my phone.
If it was not for COVID, I would have absolutely been here with my kids and husband. I feel really, really badly about it. I've prepared this eulogy for you all to listen to. I'm devastated. I'm heartbroken. I'm in shock. My wonderful, kind, caring, loving, smart, and fun brother is gone. It's hard to believe. Arch's death is a tragedy. Just like my dad's death was a tragedy, and my dad's parents and his sister's deaths were tragedies. They all died way too young. Arch was only 61. What a life Arch lived, though. Growing up, it was just me, Arch, and our dad. We were a team, incredibly close. We all took care of each other. We traveled together to so many fun places like Florida and Hawaii, and then there was our most special trip to Mazurich in the Ukraine, to see where our dad lived as a child and to attend a very emotional and meaningful memorial service to give tribute to the Jews, including our dad's family, who were murdered during the Holocaust. After, we went to Israel and had fun. I remember him and my dad posing with pictures with mud on their bodies at the Dead Sea. I remember Archie and I joking in Yiddish with some religious guys with payas. They were shocked that we knew Yiddish. Arch liked to have fun. Arch and I took several trips, just the two of us, to Las Vegas, Dallas, California, Virginia Beach, New Orleans, Club Med in Mexico, and Miami Beach. We always rented bikes wherever we went. We both had a passion for cycling. Arch also loved to take a million pictures of our fun adventures. And then there were the many Jewish singles cruises that we attended. Arch, being a very handsome guy, tall, dark, and handsome, with sparkly blue eyes, was very popular with the women, and it was funny to see all of them chase after my big brother. It was also fun how during the formal nights he always wore a sweater with cartoon characters on it. Arch was Mr. Casual and very laid back. Arch, my dad, and I always loved Toronto, and as kids we lived there 3 times. My dad thought we belonged in Toronto. When I moved to Toronto, Arch helped guide me every step of the way. He visited me every month. He kept a bicycle in my condo, and we often went on long bike rides downtown. We loved to cycle together. When my son Schaefer was born, he flew that same day and stayed with us for several weeks. When Brody was born, he came a day later and he looked after Schaefer. He was an amazing uncle. He adored my kids and they adored their Uncle Archie. He loved to talk to my kids and hang out together. He loved to tickle them when they were small and they giggled so much. He was the ultimate fun uncle. We traveled together to Disney World several times. It was our super fun place to go together and just have a great time. In Toronto, we also had fun going to farms, apple picking, beaches, and amusement parks. My brother often acted like a kid himself and did mischievous things like goofing around in his rental cars. He would place my kids on the roof of his car in my driveway, and they would all be laughing while eating licorice, his favorite candy. He always had a stash in his car. Archie would come to Toronto each month to play and have fun with me, my kids, and my husband Arnie. He came in for all my kids' birthday parties and many of their school plays. He loved being an active part of their lives, and I would make sure to order the best seats. I would tell the organizers that Schaefer and Brody's uncle was flying in to see them on stage. Archie was very proud of his nephews. He had many pictures of them with him in his house on Oak Street and at our cottage. We have many wonderful memories of us hanging out with him at the beach, having fun playing at the arcade, and going out for ice cream and goofing around the hot tub with all of Archie's rubber duckies. He liked hanging out on the deck, schmoozing with the many people who visited us. He was a very social person and liked when people stopped by. I'd now like to pay tribute to a few special people who have known Arch and I for all of our lives. Lenore and Penny and Percy, you have always been an important part of our lives during the good times and the bad. You have been kind and supportive, and I really appreciate all that you have done for us over the years. Back to Archie. So many people liked Archie. So many people loved Archie. He was a true definition of a mensch and was so kind and generous with his time, advice, gifts, and of course, Jeannie's cakes. I have heard countless stories of how Arch gave of his time and energy to help them in so many ways. Speaking of love, no one loved him like I loved him. We had an unbreakable bond, a brother and sister relationship like no other. We were so close, incredibly close. He was such an amazing, wonderful brother. I loved him so much. I miss him so much. 5 months before my dad died, my dad was interviewed in Miami Beach by the Steven Spielberg Show-Off Foundation about his experiences during the Holocaust. After he talked about his experiences during the Holocaust, he spoke about Arch and me, and here is a little bit of what he said. May my father and Archie rest in peace.
Arch Honigman, Honigman, this is my beautiful son, that I'm fortunate to have him. He's 35 years old, January the 23rd, 1960. And my sweet little maidele, Brenda Honigman, February the 23rd, today's your birthday, 1965. And this is a gift that I'm fortunate to have such a beautiful children, because they are with me since babies, day by day. And I had 2 children, Brenda and Arch Honigman. And I used to diaper Brenda, she's right in here. The customers used to say like that, Sam, you make me the hamburger, I'll diaper Brenda. And the only thing that I got out is 2 of the most wonderful children, but I ask in my life. They are with me all the way. Day one. Brenda had to raise herself alone. Who helped me so much to raise up till today is your brother Archie.
Thank you, Brenda, for writing and recording that for all of us to hear today. Everyone here and everyone watching. All of these words of tribute, these eulogies, paint a clear picture of a man whom the world is worse off without, but certainly a man for whom the world is better that he was ever here in the first place. Arch Honigman, may he rest in peace. May he be remembered and loved as he was and should be. It's my honor now to chant the El Malei Rakhmeen prayer, the traditional Jewish memorial prayer. El Malei Rakhmeen, Shochein Ba'meromi, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, B'malot Kedoshim Uteorim, Kezohar Arakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Asher ben Shmuel Veitachaya She'alach le'olamo Began Eidente Menuchato Anabal Harachamim Hastireu beseter kenafecha leolamim Utzro bitzro rachayim et nishmato Adonai hu nachalato V'yanuach b'shalom Hamishkavo V'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the soul of Arch Honigman, Asher ben Shmuel Veitachaya, the son of Samuel and Edith, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that he find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. I thank you again to everyone for being here. These are still very strange times in which we're living. When it comes to death and dying in Jewish tradition, so many people, regardless of how religious they are, often fall right into the traditions. They know about Shiva and visiting. And of course, we haven't been able to do that for almost 2 years, and we still can't quite do that in the same way. There's no substitute for a hug, for a warm embrace, for a shoulder to cry on, but I encourage everyone to send messages, whether it's text messages or emails or phone calls. I know Joanna has received so many. I know Brenda has received so many. They've told me. But keep them coming. These messages help Arch's loved ones get through the early stages of mourning, the week of Shiva, the first month of Shloshim, the whole first difficult year. There's no message too short to send, so please continue to reach out. We do our best to weather this storm. In a moment, we will turn to the words of the mourner's Kaddish, which sanctify God and which honor Arch. And then we will close our ceremony with another familiar ritual, which is the shoveling of earth into the grave. In Jewish tradition, we believe, and I alluded to this earlier, that our loved ones deserve to be buried by us, by our own hands, kind, knowing, sorrowful hands, hands that once held their hands. To shovel earth into the grave is what we call a mitzvah, a righteous act, a truly selfless act we do without any hope of reward. With this, we take on the responsibility of laying Arch to rest ourselves. The family will lead us, and then everyone is invited to participate. It is a painful act. We recognize that, but it is also one born of love and compassion for someone who meant so much to so many people. There are many customs when it comes to shoveling. Most people pour 3 shovelfuls of earth. Some people use the front of the shovel, some people use the back. Some people return the shovel when they're done to the earth. Some people pass it to the next person. The custom with which you are familiar is the custom you should embrace. As I say with all ritual, it should have meaning and not just simply going through the motions. There are shovels, multiple shovels on both sides. And for those of you on this side, you may not be able to see, but there is a small pail that if the shovel is a little daunting and overwhelming and you still want to participate, there's a small shovel and a small pail that you can use. And this allows you to perform the ritual in the same way. Earlier in the service, we said the words of Job, the epitome of suffering in Jewish tradition. Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevorach. God, you have given, God, you have taken. Blessed be the name of God. May the memory of Arch Honigman be for a blessing, as we mark that his essence will never leave our hearts and our souls. The mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace and harmony on high bring peace and harmony to us, to all Israel, and to all of humanity. And again, together, let's say, Amen. Joanna? Thank you again to everyone for being here today.